Welcome to Skills Development Simplified. My name is Mr. Stan. For many years, I've worked in workplace learning, curriculum development, and skill development. During that time, I kept noticing something that troubled me. Organizations were investing significant amount of money in training. Employees attended courses, attended registers were signed, certificates were proudly handed out, reports were submitted. Everything appeared successful. But when people returned to work, very little had changed. The same mistake continued. The same performance problems remained. The same skill gaps kept appearing year after year. That made me ask one question. If we are spending so much money on training, why aren't we seeing the results? Today, I'd like us to explore that question together. We often mistake training for learning. One of the biggest misunderstandings in organization is believing that training automatically produced learning. It does not. Training creates opportunity to learn. Learning happens only when knowledge changes behavior. Think about driving. You can attend driving school, you can pass the learner's license test. But until you confidently drive on real roads, your competency is still developing. The same principles apply in workplace. Attending a course does not guarantee improved performance. Now, the Skills Development Act had a bigger vision. When South Africa introduced the Skills Development Act, the intention was never simply to increase the number of training courses. The vision was much bigger. The Act sought to improve the skills of the South African workforce, increase productivity, improve employment opportunities, encourage lifelong learning, and strengthen the country's competitiveness. Training was never meant to be the destination. It was meant to be part of a much larger journey. Some organizations embraced that vision. Others reduced it to compliance. And that's where many problems begin. Compliance is not competence. This is one of the biggest lessons I've learned. You can comply with legislation and still fail to develop people. You can submit your workplace skill plan. You can submit your annual training report. You can spend your training budget. You can issue certificate and still have employees who struggle to perform. Why? Because compliance measures activity. Competence measures capability. Those are not the same thing. Now, let's see where organizations often go wrong. Over the years, I've observed several common mistakes. Sometimes training is chosen because funding is available rather than because a real business need exists. Sometimes managers assume that once training is complete, their responsibilities end. Sometimes employees return from training enthusiastic, but receive no coaching, no opportunities to practice, and no support. Eventually, they return to old habits. The training wasn't wasted, but potential was. So let's see if there's a better way. Whenever I finish a project, I ask myself one question. Is there a better way? I believe organizations should ask the same questions about workplace learning. Instead of asking, how many people did we train? Ask, what problem are we trying to solve? Instead of asking, did anyone attend? Ask, what has changed because they attended? Instead of celebrating certificates, celebrate improved performance. Celebrate better service. Celebrate fewer mistakes. Celebrate stronger leadership. That is when learning begins to create real value. See, I don't believe South Africa has a training problem. I believe we have a learning transfer problem. Training is important. Legislation is important. Compliance is important. But none of them achieve their purpose unless learning changes behavior. Perhaps it's time we stop measuring success by the number of people who attended training. Perhaps we should start measuring success by the number of people who became better at what they do. Because that's what skill development was always meant to achieve. Thank you for joining me for this first episode of Skill Development Simplified. I'll see you in the next episode.